Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and today we're going to go over, do I need to issue at a 1099? And more importantly, what happens when I receive a 1099? So what you need to know is an informational return is what a 1099 is. And what you're doing is you're letting the IRS know, here's somebody who I have paid under certain thresholds, and sometimes it's here's money that I'm receiving under certain thresholds. When I say certain thresholds is because not all transactions are reported if they do not exceed a certain number. And I'll go over that in just a second. So here's the big forms that you need to pay attention to. You ready? Big one is 1099 NEC. That's non-employee compensation. That is if you paid somebody who is not your employee, so you're not running them through your W-2, which just means you're not running them through your payroll department, which means you don't have something called a W-4 on them. They're a third party. It could be a contractor, a freelancer, even a company. If you do not know what type of company it is, like what type of tax they are they a big company like a Home Depot, or are they a little company and you don't know whether they're an S or a C Corp or anything, you are going to file a 1099 NEC. If it is a big company that is an S or a C Corp, or they're an Inc. after their name, you do not have to file the 1099 NEC. Another reason you do not have to file a 1099 NEC is if you paid them exclusively by credit card. And that is because the credit card company themselves is going to issue to that party something called a 1099K, which we'll get to here in just a second. All right. So if you paid somebody more than $600 as a freelancer, as an independent contractor, as something from your business, and they were not a W-2 payroll employee, then you're going to do a 1099 NEC. And here's the rub. It's due by January 31st, 2025. We're sitting in 2025. So this particular year, it's always January 31st. If it falls on a holiday, it's the next day. It's January 31st. You have to file. It's either paper, e-file, the recipient copy, whatever you want to call it. It has to be filed with the IRS by that time. If not, the penalties kind of suck. They start at, I'm going to look at 2024, is $60 if you're up to 30 days late, $120 if you're 31 or more, 31 days late through October 1st. After October 1st, it's not filed, you're looking at $310 per 1099. And intentional disregard, you're looking at $630 per 1099, so per recipient. So you want to make sure that you take this serious. I paid somebody. If in doubt, you 1099 them. What does a 1099 look like? Here, I'll just share it out for you so you're not scared of it. You'll be able to see it. So this is a 1099 NEC, and you're going to realize pretty quickly that it's very straightforward. This is you, payer's name. This is you. You're putting your address, etc., and your tax identification. This is your EIN, or if it's just you, a social security number, right? If it's just you operating as the sole proprietor, or you didn't know any better, whatever, you're going to put your tax number, because you're saying, here, IRS, I paid this person more than $600. The recipient's tax ID number, their name, their address, etc. Now, this is more than likely all you're doing is the non-employee compensation. If you withheld things on them, then you're going to report that. But for most case, I'm not going to worry about that. You better be working with an accountant if you're doing withholdings, whether it be state or federal. So for the most part, you're just reporting, hey, I paid this person $3,000 this year. So you're saying, here's $3,000. Here's their information. IRS, that's it. And I'm letting the IRS know this is what I paid that individual. That's a 1099 NEC. If you receive one, then somebody's saying they paid that to you, and you would take it up with them if they did it erroneously, or if it was something like, hey, they 1099 you, and it wasn't a good or a service, it was a gift or something like that. You'd say, hey, that's the wrong form. You wouldn't mess with it. Or if you received it and it was part of your company, then you're going to take your expenses against it. The IRS just is looking at your return saying, we expect to see that revenue reported somewhere on it. So if you have, let's say I issue somebody $10,000 of compensation that they received, and they file nothing on their taxes as having received that compensation, then the IRS might audit it and say, hey, what happened here? Like, you didn't report all your income. That's what they're doing. As an employee, we're all used to this. As employees, we get a W-2. Our employer is saying, hey, I paid this person this much. Here's how much I withheld. Here's their employment taxes, da-da-da-da-da. You reported on your 1040. It's no different in a company, except you're doing it in a different form. And this is how you let the IRS know what you paid somebody. That is your form 1099 NEC. Now, there's a couple things I'm going to go over here real quick. I mentioned this before, but if you pay a corporate taxpayer, you don't have to 1099 them. You also don't have to pay 1099 them if you paid them exclusively via credit card, which means, what if I paid them credit card and cash or check or Zelle, which Zelle counts as a check or cash, the way that is not like a PayPal. It's not what they call a I'm going to actually get this third-party settlement organization. It's a term of art that we're going to discuss here in a second. Zelle is just, I transfer the money directly to them. That is cash. If I have a mixture of credit card and cash, I'm reporting the entire amount on my 1099 NEC, and I'm going to let the recipient worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm reporting it. That's my obligation. I'm reporting it by January 31st. If I have too many, again, make sure you have a good accountant. If you have more than a couple of these, I think there's a threshold around 10 where you have to e-file. But if you are doing this to more than just a handful of folks, make sure you have an accountant. Reach out to us. In fact, if you want someone to walk you through this or show you how to do it or do it for you, just type in strategy. Just put that in the comments below. We'll send you a link and we'll show you. It's really inexpensive. It's easy to do. We can handle this for you if need be, but you better jump on it. Or go to your accountant and let them do it. All right. The next one is, and this has been in the news a whole bunch because a couple of years ago, there was a law passed where they said, hey, third-party settlement organizations have to start issuing out a 1099 to the people they're collecting money on. What's a third-party settlement organization? PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Airbnb, VRBO, probably Lyft, Airbnb, anybody that's receiving money and they're paying you, that's who has to report it. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a 1099K. What if it's friends and family? They're not supposed to report friends and family. What if they misreport it? Well, they're just saying this is how much we gave you. You still get to take expenses. You could still say in some cases it's double reported. Like you may in certain circumstances get a 1099 NEC and a 1099K. And you're like, hey, this is unfair. Let your accountant worry about that. They're going to report it and they're going to offset it and say there's an expense, a duplicate receipt. But they're letting the IRS know. That's the most important thing, is you don't want the IRS going, I don't see it. And let's have a look-see. So as long as you're transparent and you're letting, again, let a professional do it. Save yourself the hassle. You don't need those headaches. I know all you do-it-yourselfers are like, I can do it. Yes, you can, but there's a value to having somebody else who knows what they're doing do it. All right. So there's two different types of 1099Ks that I'm going to get into. I mean, there's just literally just one reporting 1099K, but there are reporting organizations that are credit card, debit, and stored value cards, and they report everything no matter what. They're just, I'm reporting it. There's no minimum. It's just, we're going to report whatever you receive. You're going to get a 1099 K, and it's going to say, here's how much you received. Then there's another category, and that's your third-party settlement organizations, and they were the subject of the new law. There used to be a thing that if, hey, $20,000 or above, they had to report. In 2024, that number got moved down to $5,000. In 2025, that number is being moved down to $2,500. In 2026, that number is going to be moved down further to $600. They've been phasing it in. They were just going to, in 2022, it's like, everybody has to report this. And nobody was prepared for it. The IRS wasn't prepared for it. They said, let's delay it. Let's wait. And then they took a phase-in approach. Hey, let's phase it in so people get used to it. Now, in that particular case, you're going to have to get used to getting what's called a recipient copy. You're going to get something that says, hey, here's what we believe. You may go back and say this is erroneous. You can work with the vendor to make sure that they reissue the appropriate amount. Like, for again, if you had friends and family, not, the monies you received were not part a trade or business. It wasn't for goods or services or something else, but it was for a gift or a donation or something like that. Somebody gave you something or paid you. Hey, hey, we split the bill on a birthday party, right? And that's what it was for, a reimbursement, or it was friends and family just giving you money. Then that's not supposed to be reported. And you could say, hey, that's what this was, and you can make sure it gets taken care of there. They have a deadline, and there's really two that you pay attention. I think everybody's going to be e-filing, most of these organizations. So it's going to be, get this, April 1st. That's their deadline for e-filing it. If they paper file, then it's going to be the end of February. It's going to be February 28th. So you don't have to worry about this because you're not a third-party settlement organization, but you're going to receive this. And it might surprise you if you get one, and you're going to say, wait a second, they've never given this to me before. This is really frustrating to me. Don't worry. It's an informational return. It's not like, hey, you owe a tax on it. They're letting the IRS know that they gave you that money was processed and sent to you. That's all it is. It's information. And that lets you do that. If everything else, there's one last form, 1099 miscellaneous. I think the e-file date, I think it's only e-file date is April 1st. And again, I'm not too worried. I think that you could paper file, and you can paper file. I think that your recipient copy is the end of January 31st, and then middle of February, or January 31st. I think there's different versions depending on which portion of it is filled out. So I'm going off of memory, guys, that there's different deadlines for the recipient copy. And then I believe that if you're paper filing, it's the end of February 28th, or then if you e-file, then you have a deadline of April 1st. And that is anything that's not covered by that NEC. It's other compensation. You gave somebody a bunch of cash, or you did something, again, there's something that's not going to fall under the NEC is going to get swept up by that miscellaneous. Maybe you pay to somebody, and again, a bunch of cash, or transferred a bunch of stuff over to them. I'm trying to think of situations where it would occur. But again, work with an accountant, let them deal with it. The 10,000 foot view is, for you, your obligation as a business owner, as somebody who pays, is January 31st. That's a big deadline for you. My recommendation is to make it go easier. And maybe this year is going to be rough for you because you did not do this, is to make sure before you pay somebody more than $600 for services, and they're not an employee, get a W-9 from them before you pay them. Say, fill this out, and along with the invoice, and or saying, I will pay you as soon as you issue this. Give me this W-9 back is the easiest way to say it. Like, I would love to pay you, but I need this tax form completed before I give you a check. Because once you give them a check and you don't have this information, you're on the hook for it. Not only the late, but you could be on the hook for withholding. I've actually seen it happen, been involved in it, argued that with auditors in the past, where you have somebody who paid, and I'll give you a real life case, doctor paying a whole bunch of therapists. The doctor's office received a bunch of money, and then they were paying all these therapists. They didn't have their social security numbers and their EINs. So they 1099 them all, but they didn't have the identifying information. So the IRS said, you owe us the withholding. It's like 28%. It was a really large amount, plus penalties and interest. So not a happy situation. So then you're doing a fire drill of trying to get the tax identification numbers from these folks. And of course, it may be that you paid them a year ago, 2 years ago. By the time this pops up onto your radar, it may be a while ago. Now you're trying to track these folks down. So you don't want to be in that situation. So the best thing you could do is, if you're going to pay somebody non-employee compensation, they're not on your payroll, get a W-9 before you pay them, and then be prepared to do that 1099. If you're watching this right now in 2025, it is time to take it serious, get it done. If you want help, type in the word strategy down below. I don't care when you watch this. It could be in 2025, 2026. It doesn't matter. If you want someone to help you, we will send you a link so that one of our representatives can reach out and say, here's what it looks like to have us do it for you, so that you're not having to deal with this. Because if this is causing you anxiety, that's why you have bookkeepers and accountants. Let them deal with it. It's not expensive. It's so much easier for somebody who does it all day long to do it, rather than you to try to learn it. Because it's not rocket science, and it's something that should not distract you from the main reason you're in business, which is to go out there and make money. It's not time. It's not good value of your time to sit there and try to learn this stuff. Let somebody who does it day in and day out do it. Again, this is low value items for you to be doing. Just let somebody who does it deal with it. So that 1099 is coming up. Just know that's the deadline. Boosh! And if you're late, get it done, because the penalties are a lot smaller if you can get it done. So if you have people that you didn't pay, oh my gosh, there's 5 people. Just know that's a $300 mistake, right? If you can get it fixed within that first month, just get it out. Just get it done. Let's see if we can get it done on time. Again, this is not rocket science. This is just reporting. Do not put your head in the sand and say, hey, I'm just going to ignore it, because the penalties can get severe. Again, intentional disregard and not filing it. You're looking at this year, $630 per form, per occurrence. Don't be the recipient of that type of penalty because you decided not to do it. Hey, if you know anybody who could benefit from this information, share it. Like and subscribe if you want to get more information like this periodically. I'm always putting out videos, and it's always for investors and small businesses. And as always, if you have any comments, leave them down below. If you have questions, leave them down below. And if you have any ideas for future videos, leave it down below and I'll get to it. Thanks, guys.